Okay, so the focus of today's video is accessing the HMH resources in a general sense. So the easiest way to do that is to use Clever. So I'm just going to clever.com, and we're going to log in as a teacher or staff. I think that's what it did, but I'll make sure because sometimes this thing acts goofy. You can log in with Active Directory or with Google. I'm going to pick Google because I'm fully logged in, and it's taking me to this. You can access it from the district page by scrolling down, and you'll be able to see that under English Language Arts there used to be down here more apps. HMH Ed. I actually favorited that so that it is on my main page. But once you favorite that, um, it's good to have this ready to go. So basically, you click on this link, HMH Ed Learning from the district, and Clever will log you in. You should always use Clever to log into HMH this year because it's going to be a smoother experience. You'll have direct access to your classes, ready to link your classes to HMH programs. I'm actually going to hit remind me later. I do have classes once the school year starts and Power School's up to date and all the kids' schedules are correct. I'll actually add classes accordingly. But what we're going to focus on today is this middle tab, Discover. Now we've been discussing how to access things for the last year, but now we've got some experience doing this. So if you click Discover, there's HMH resources, and you can actually choose which grade level you want to do. As it turns out, I teach 8th grade language arts, so that's what I'm going to stick with. And so in Unit 1, which is what we're going to be starting, I'm just going to click on the Unit 1 uh, materials, and it actually goes in order of the lessons that are in the textbook and in the order of what they appear in HMH. So the first story is The Brave Little Toaster. If I click open the lesson for The Brave Little Toaster, they actually have a whole bunch of resources for every single thing that you read. In this particular case, you can access the lesson plans. I don't really do that because I've already taught this story before. I've looked it over. Um, you can do the get ready. I always like to preview what the students are going to be looking at. So if I click on the get ready for this story, it gives me an idea of what kinds of skills or the notice and note things that are going to be the focus of this particular story. For this particular text, they talked about the essential question: does technology improve or control our lives, which is the essential question for the unit. They give you background information on science fiction, etc. But that's the kind of stuff that you'll teach from and use when you're actually introducing the big questions and giving background. With that said, you can do the teacher's edition if you want to read it ahead of time, and they point out what you should be teaching in case you're wondering, or if you want to preview what the students will actually see, or that's printed in the textbook, you can actually click here to The Brave Little Toaster. You give the background, and then the story starts. If you would like to have audio support, if students access this online, they can actually hit play audio and they'll actually be able to listen to the text being read in the case that you wanted to do that for differentiation purposes. Um, but basically, that is how you access the story. The other thing then is if you scroll down, they have some analyze the text writing prompts. So they have some questions that you could have them answer. You can do the printable versions of these things as well. Um, so those are one of the things that you can do with any of the stories in this. They also have adapted texts, so they have the exact same story but written with simpler language. Um, I've used that particularly to teach like the Frederick Douglass piece. We'll read the more basic one first in some classes, then we'll read the more advanced one because I do want them to hear that. And then you have online and editable selection and unit tests. If you want to print out a quiz for them, you just simply click on that and you'll see that the Microsoft Word document comes up. You can modify this document as you see fit, or give it as a practice quiz or print it out, however you want to do that. The other thing that you can do is administer a test online. If you click on that, it's the same questions generally speaking, but it's done with an interface that looks like a formal assessment that's based on a computer. And you can actually see um, the spot where you can access the text while they're actually taking the test and answering the questions accordingly. You can actually modify these assessments, but there's a way to do that that I can do in a separate video. But long story short, you can access any assessment for any of the readings, and this is generally how you would assign those things.